to the staff conference studio, your one-stop shop for all the latest Hillcrest gossip and updates. Right now I'm joined by Fiona Morrison, Deputy Chief Executive, and Asset Management and Development Director, Mark Farey. I'm going to ask them a few questions, get an update on Hillcrest Housing Association. So, hi guys, thanks for joining us today. Fiona, winning gold is always the ambition, but personal bests and breaking records are always part of performance. How would you say that Hillcrest has performed over the last 18 months?
Very well, Steve, is the short answer. I think there's a number of key performance statistics that we report on. Certainly as far as voids go, we have relet 875 properties last year and 123 new lets, which is a phenomenal amount of new tenancies.
Almost 1,000, yeah.
Almost 1,000. So, great work and real lot of hard work done in letting those, and we'll let most of them within the 3-week target time, which again is excellent. Our rent arrears stand at an all-time low, which is 3.3% of net rental income. Don't want to be too complacent though, it's still £870,000 that's outstanding. That's a lot of shoes, Steve, but our rental income is 20 million, so that's even more handbags. Our tenancy sustainment service have gone great guns. They've managed to net a cool 1 million for our tenants. That's through maximising income, maximising benefits. So again, great work done by everybody really this year.
Yeah, there must be a lot of staff involved to achieve those.
Absolutely, everybody in a number of different departments involved, particularly voids. There's a lot of partnership working between Asset Management Department, Housing Department and of course HMS.
Great stuff. Mark, in terms of your department, how would you say you've performed over the last 18 months?
Well, Steve, there's a lot of effort gone in from a wide variety of staff over the last 18 months. But just focusing on the repairs team, they handle over 25,000 lines a year plus all the void work. And there's some key performance indicators that are directly attributable to them. And over the piece, we're looking pretty good. On emergencies and non-emergencies, we've exceeded our targets. On tenant satisfaction with the repairs service, again, that's above target. And all the work that goes into the Scottish Housing Quality Standards, that's put us in a position where we're 96% compliant, and the compliance date is March 2015. The only thing that we slightly missed our target on was gas servicing, a statutory performance indicator that we have to report on. Out of 2,500 gas appliances that we've got, 2 went beyond the 12 months. 2, and they're going to be the first ones that we do next year. So it's a big thank you to the repairs team and all the staff in the department that's contributed to that. I'd also just like to put a marker down about the joint work we do with HMS. HMS do the vast majority of our work now, and so achievement of those performance indicators is just as much down to them as it is to asset management.
I actually hope to catch up with Mark Percival from HMS in the studio later. Fiona, overcoming challenges and showing determination ensures an athlete's success. What challenges have been conquered to ensure Hillcrest's success over the last 18 months?
I think the main one, Steve, has to be the government's welfare reform agenda, particularly for housing associations, for landlords. It has been the under-occupancy penalty, commonly known as the bedroom tax. When the council tax was brought in, I didn't think anything would be quite as unpopular, but the bedroom tax comes quite close. To combat that, we put in place a welfare reform strategy, which was approved by committee. Mainly it's about early intervention. What we were doing is anybody we thought was going to be affected by the bedroom tax, we went out to visit, we gave letters, correspondence about what people could do to overcome that. So there's about 500 people affected. We tried to contact most of them, and we were able to claim over £100,000 of discretionary housing payment on that.
And am I right in thinking, Fiona, that it hasn't had such an impact as we'd first thought?
There was a wee bit of unsurety at the start, and again, for us as an organisation, I think there was 500 people affected, and we weren't sure what impact that would have on our rent arrears. But as I said to you earlier, the rent arrears have actually come down, so the impact hasn't been quite as great as we first feared.
Okay. Mark, what about the challenges you've had to overcome the last 18 months?
Well, probably the biggest one, Steve, is the Scottish Housing Quality Standards, a set of mandatory standards for all our houses that we have to comply with, as I said earlier, by next March 2015. The last year or so has seen us major on new heating systems going in. New gas central heating systems went into over 300 houses, as well as upgrades to electric heating systems as well. One of the main themes of the standard is energy efficiency, and also running parallel to what I just mentioned, there's a variety of installation schemes that we've had. Internal, external, solid wall installation schemes, loft and cavity wall insulation as well. All that goes on too. We're pretty confident now with all that under our belt and with some relatively small scale work in the last year, we're on the back straight and we'll achieve compliance by next March.
Good to know, good to know. Okay, the audience at the Commonwealth wants competition and excitement. Without the audience, there'd be no event. Hillcrest has an audience of over 5,000, so how do you deliver what they want?
Again, the short answer to that is, Steve, by asking them, and we try and participate with tenants wherever possible. This year we held what we think was a very successful tenants open day here. It was attended by a number of tenants across all our areas of operation, which was great. I think most of the feedback is most of the tenants found the day participative and informative. Funny though, most of the tenants seem to know more about Hillcrest Housing Association than me, so maybe that says
doesn't surprise me, Fiona.
how good we are at communicating with people, I would say. When we asked what they liked specifically about the day, people were saying they liked to meet the group chief executive, because Angela was there, of course, and said that they liked putting names to faces. That was, of course, until I met you, Steve.
Yes, because Fiona and I have obviously got the perfect face for radio.
You absolutely do.
Mark, in terms of over the 5,000 tenants, how do you deliver what they want?
Well, one of the most important things, Steve, we can do is respond to what our customers are asking for in the houses we provide. The very good news is that we're still building houses. We built over 300 in the last financial year, and there's good prospects of a healthy level of new building carrying on for the next few years. What our customers give us as feedback on new houses is something that we ask for on each new scheme. We also get feedback from staff on what they think works, what they think doesn't work, and we roll all that into reviews of a document we have called the Design Brief, which is a benchmark for the standards we expect builders and developers to build to. So I think we can be confident that we have ways of getting feedback from staff and tenants, and we wrap all that stuff up into what we're building in the future. And it's a process of continuous improvement, hopefully, that means that the new houses that we build are more and more what people want.
So good communication with tenants, you would say that's the future for us.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Okay. In terms of the future and beyond the finish line, Fiona, what does the future look like for Hillcrest Housing Association?
I think the future's bright, although not necessarily orange for obvious reasons, both for Hillcrest as a landlord and as the parent company. I think it's a marathon, not a sprint, and although we have a strong history, I think we've got an even stronger and brighter future. Some of the things we're wanting to do in the next 3 years: conclude the process mapping exercise and again the implementation of that, any recommendations that come from that, review the structure of the Hillcrest group of companies. We're looking to do that, it's in the business plan. Again, Mark referred to a development programme and the number of properties that we'll be developing over the next 3 years. Probably tips about 600, so that's a lot of new properties for people, which is fantastic. We have an aspiration to maybe expand our areas of operation as well, so we're going to look into that. So again, quite a lot on new and exciting, and the future's bright.
Fabulous. Well, can I thank you very, very much for popping into the Hillcrest studio. That was great. Now, we're going to take a wee break, and then we're going to catch up with the Head of Corporate Services, Alan McGonigal, and Head of Finance and IT, Lindsay Dryden, who will be telling us about their key achievements. So stay tuned for more Hillcrest Group action.